Fuck
This movie.
Oh.
Good.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
I forgot we had a thing.
Oh.
I don't know if we had a thing. I was just going with the moment, man.
gonna
Anyway, fuck this movie. It's a podcast.
Fuck. We're back for episode 5.
Episode 5 already.
We said that there was a slight chance it would be a week, and here it is, 7 days later.
And so
we're back.
Admittedly, less prep time, so bear with us. But
yeah, and I took some really good detailed notes as I rewatched the movie for a second time and then left the notes at home.
Oh, nice.
And John took, I guess, some notes without watching the movie for a second. I don't know how that works, but good on you, John.
At least
you remembered your notes.
I've seen the movie like 5 times, so the notes are.
So we're gonna be relying on Reese to get us there.
Yeah, I mean he is driving the car, so to speak. So.
Yeah.
I do have when we get there, I have the letterbox synopsis though. You don't need to look that up.
Okay. All right. Well, I wanted to read it.
Okay.
That
well,
might
you
be
look it up then.
Might be my only contribution.
Right.
But welcome to Fuck This Movie, and I am Dustin Holler. I know stuff about movies, and to my right is John Brown, owner and proprietor of the establishment that makes this podcast possible.
I know things about stuff.
He knows a thing or two. And to my left is Reese Anweiler, and say something nice about yourself, Reese. All right, great. That's great. So, first thing,
I know things.
Okay, he knows things.
We
Oh
all know
wow,
things.
wow.
An amount of
I
things.
don't know if I believe you.
Undisclosed.
Yeah, it's you're suspect. You're suspect at best. Yeah, it's only been a week, but I'm sure you guys have had plenty of time to watch something that you hadn't seen prior to.
No, I watched some things.
What would you watch, John?
I watched the 84 Dune.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. I hadn't seen it since I was a kid.
Okay.
Enjoyed it still. Definitely, like, after a certain point in the movie, a lot of it felt very rushed, but I did... That was after I learned that... name escapes me. David Lynch directed it. I was always, like, once I learned it, I'm like, you rewatch that again. And on the rewatch, oh yeah, it's absolutely a David Lynch movie.
Yeah.
So many moments of random nonsense.
Yeah.
That just, like, are there. And it's very, like, seamlessly put in the movie. But, it was very fun. I watched Dune. I also watched something else that I felt was worth
Have you seen the new Dune?
I did. It was really good.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So excited for this part 2.
So there's one thing I will say, new Dune to old Dune, the Harkonnen Duke, way more fucking disgusting than the David Lynch Dune. Like, he is just hard to look at and very fucking... They hit evil on the head of the nail with that guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's gross as fuck. So, that was a big one.
Yeah.
It's a big staple of David Lynch just being weird and gross. Like that, that's how you know it's a David Lynch film.
Very weird, gross shit. And like the little random things, like there was a point where there's some dialogue that was super like important and dramatic and to a degree ominous that the characters were delivering, and then a guy has some weird horn thing and just blows in it once, and the scene continues. And I'm like, that's David Lynch for you.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
What about you, Reese? Anything new?
Only new thing I watched was...
It's just got to be better than Little Nicky is all that we ask.
Much better than Little Nicky. Also involving New York, though. Little Nicky takes place in New York. I went to go see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Assumedly good. Yeah.
It's really good. I just can't stress enough, if you're not a fan of like Marvel movies,
right,
I think you will still enjoy this, even at the very least on a technical level. And it is like really well written. And if you're familiar with the first one, they do a really good job of like making it cohesive, you know. Some sequels that aren't, especially ones that aren't based on like a direct source material, have that real hard time of like tying in the second one, like making it make sense. Back to the Future 2 is a big one. Like they just make things up in the second one. Like, remember this guy that's been bugging you your whole life? It's like no mention of it in the first movie. Right. But it really felt cohesive. Like they were planning this from the beginning, and it's the animation's just incredible. Oh, it's very funny. All the jokes land.
Yeah,
So- so
Spider-Man's known for that. as
I'll
far
assume
as
that means
it
that
goes.
you haven't watched Tigerland yet.
No,
Okay.
I haven't had a ton of time for movies this week.
All right.
Also, yeah, it's only been 1 week since we recorded, not 2 weeks.
Only
like
1 week,
normal.
yeah, but I watched a shit ton.
Well, you're just trying to show off.
I am
Yeah.
trying to show. No, I've just had I have some free time. Like I was on vacation and we had the get back early, so we did a little bit of a movie day yesterday. And my whole thing is like, so as I've talked about, I worked at Blockbuster for over a decade, and really the last like 10 to 15 years is where like kind of the shallow spot in my, like, because I watch a lot of old movies and always have. I grew up with them, but like really the last 15 years is probably where the blank spot is for me.
Uh-huh.
And one of my favorite directors is Wes Anderson, and so I've missed a lot of his newer stuff.
Right.
And so I basically used yesterday to kind of watch some of the things that I hadn't seen. I'm still not 100% there. I haven't seen the newest film, The French Connection, yet, but I did
French
watch.
Dispatch.
Or, French Connection is a 70s film starring Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But somehow is directed by Wes Anderson. It's insane.
it is not. Anyway, I haven't seen French Dispatch yet, but I did watch the Grand Budapest Hotel.
It's really good.
It's very, very good.
Yeah.
God, it's arguably his best film to date.
Yeah.
And
I got a super big soft spot for Steve Zissou.
and
I like
the,
him
the
a lot.
other one that I watched, I think, is actually it's potentially moved into contention for my favorite Wes Anderson film, and I think it's his most underrated film. Isle of Dogs
Yeah.
is
Oh,
fucking
yeah?
awesome.
that is very
don't even know what
underrated.
that
I
is.
know.
It is
Yeah.
underrated as hell, and
Some-
I love the
some
fact that
for
like if you say it too slow, it turns into I love dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, fucking fan, and it's animated, and
Yeah.
I'm saying this.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
Oh,
it's
huge.
it's
awesome.
If you see them, so last week I watched or 2 weeks ago I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox,
Yeah.
which is got that like that same style of animation
Pretty
as
much
Isle of
identical, yeah.
Dogs, and I think that it's the like Fantastic Mr. Fox is kind of the more heralded film, but for my money, I prefer Isle of Dogs.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of like Japanese culture, and for a guy who doesn't love anime, I think you get a lot of your anime fix if you're into that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So huge fan of Isle of Dogs.
Yeah, I was
it's
unaware.
one of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I was unaware of that one.
Oh,
You know-
yeah. Definitely check it out.
What I think part of it might have been is that there was a little bit of pushback for him, like having like using like Japan and Japanese culture as like almost a decoration for his film, and I think there was some pushback for that. That's probably why it doesn't seem like nearly as many people saw Isle of Dogs as
Yeah.
Budapest or Mr. Fox or French. Well,
Yeah.
French Connection, French
Oh,
Dispatch.
I did it! I got you.
French Dispatch. Honestly, I don't think a ton of people saw either. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was so far my least favorite of his films
Yeah.
that I've seen, only because it's a anthology movie basically with the different stories, and I feel like for his storytelling and his films, like being immersed in one story is like where you want to be.
yeah,
Like that's his strength, is like getting you in and just like living through the experience, and like the start stop, even though they're familiar characters, it was all really just good still because he's just fucking fantastic. But the start stop on the specific stories felt, I don't know,
Yeah.
just couldn't get enough, and some of
Yeah.
them felt a little fast.
Well, my goal is before the next episode, I will have seen that, and so I will have seen every Wes Anderson movie, and then maybe I can do a little, maybe I can do like a Wes Anderson power rankings or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
live.
Dude, Steve Zissou.
I
is
will.
That'd be
I
a
will
fun
tell you right
episode.
now, for my money, my in the conversation right now, my top two Wes Anderson films for me personally are Isle of Dogs and Moonrise Kingdom. Those are my favorite
Yeah,
two.
I have to
Wow.
see that one.
but wait. But you just said Grand Budapest. You thought might be his best.
Yeah, I think it's arguably his best. I'm just
Okay.
talking about my favorite.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Yeah.
Grand Budapest is fucking
Grand
fantastic.
Budapest is amazing. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in need of a rewatch of French Dispatch, so maybe we can line that up. That'd be fun to watch.
That would be
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be down as shit to watch it again. I could watch his movies over and over again.
Oh,
Yeah.
Spend all my time watching his movies.
He's
They're so
easily a top 3 to 5 director for me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if I really sat down to think about it, maybe he's never made a bad movie.
No, he hasn't.
No, and they're just such a joy, and like as an artist, they're such a joy to experience because they're so fucking artistic.
Yeah.
Like just the base elements of art are so prevalent and forward in his movies that
Yeah.
like watching the Grand Budapest, every shot being an immaculately conceived, composed portrait is fucking fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
Watch it just work and be like, I just appreciate it so much. I love it.
Definitely.
He's a master at his craft.
But actually, it'd be perfect timing for a power hour of his because Asteroid City comes out in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh yes,
like this
it
month.
does. It does. He's got a new film coming out.
Dope.
That would,
I saw the trailer for it. It looks amazing.
We should go see that.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Yeah, that'd be a great one.
Nice.
We do have a. We can throw in a bonus episode somewhere.
Yeah,
if
we
we're
might
able
have to go
make-
to Fort Wayne. I'm not sure if it'll come to Warsaw.
Yeah. Warsaw is really good at getting a bunch of shit movies and ignoring ignoring the good stuff. But anyway, today's
I had one more.
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
remembered the other movie that was noteworthy, but it's actually not noteworthy. But it's a good forewarning to anybody who's never seen it to not watch it. Predator 2. I rewatched Predator 2.
Oh, with
and
Danny Glover?
It is confirmed. Just horrendous.
Predator in the
piece of
city?
shit.
That's what it should be called.
So it's okay that a predator could be in a city, and there could be a good story there. But goddamn, that movie was just a fucking pile of trash. It was like unforgivable, really. It was just so bad. But
They don't make very many good Predator movies.
there
There's,
has
like,
been one. There has been one good one and
Yeah.
one okay one. I think the original is okay. I think the good one is Predators with Adrian Brody.
I agree. I think that
And
one's better than
every-
anything.
I still
else-
have not seen that film. I need to check that one out.
Is actually it's the best one. It's
Yeah.
it's still what it is. Every time I watch one, I'm just like,
Did you watch the new one last year? Called
oh, I
Prey?
guess Prey was good, but it's just the shtick, and it's,
Yeah.
it's good, but it's just what Predator needs, in my opinion, is to not just be a movie monster.
Yeah.
That's what we need it to be, more than a movie monster, because it is more than a movie monster.
Yeah.
But in every movie, it's just a monster.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they could actually do something with that concept and franchise if they stop making him a monster.
Because when it just tries to make him a monster, I think it just feels like a shittier alien.
Well, it's not. I don't know if it's a shittier alien, but it doesn't feel right because they're showing you that he is more than a monster
Yeah.
in the technology that he has.
Yeah.
In the way his cultural shit that makes him.
He's
hunt the way he
obviously
does.
sentient.
This
is a
have
thinking creature.
They have a layer of consciousness and history to this creature that they're like, here this is, but don't worry about that. He's just a monster, and so it's never going to be good. But yeah, Predator 2. If you haven't watched it, you probably shouldn't. It's a piece of shit.
All right.
It's fucking terrible. Just want to give everybody a forewarning. There's no
Yeah.
saving. There's no saving grace to that film.
Also,
All right. So
if
don't
you-
watch Predator 2. Watch Wes Anderson films.
Yes.
If you want to keep building your voodoo Wes Anderson collection, Rushmore is on sale for $5.
Yeah, I already got it. I actually listened to it today while I was
Listened to
working. Yeah, it's what I like to do. Is movies I've already seen, I will listen to while I'm working
Yeah.
because it just kind of gets it fresh in my mind.
You ever
know,
do commentaries? Like audio commentary, like director commentaries?
I kind of got away from that when DVDs first became a thing and so they were more widely available. I really got into commentaries, and then they just became so hit or miss for me. And even the ones that were hits, like that were really entertaining, I thought kind of distracted from the experience of watching the film. you know, like shut up, you fucking jackass, and let me just enjoy your piece of art and shut your mouth. You know,
Yeah.
it kind of got to that level. And then
Yeah, I don't know if I could listen to Quentin Tarantino talk about his movies. That would probably
It'd just be him jerking off for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, he talks really fast. If you ever listen
No,
to
it's
it.
like he's super abrasive. Like,
Yeah.
he's super abrasive. I don't know if you could handle that. Like, he's so not what his movies are
Yeah.
Yeah.
in practice.
Yeah, and I remember trying to watch. I tell this story, but I tried to watch Braveheart with the director commentary once, and it's like Mel Gibson does the worst fucking director commentary. He's just like whispering to you.
He just kept
He's
yelling
like in your
anti-Semitic
ear, he's like,
slurs.
yeah.
I forgot he directed that.
Yeah.
I forgot he directed that.
He did that. He did the Patriot.
He won an Oscar. He actually won like 3 Oscars for that one film.
I like both of those movies.
Mel Gibson has 3 Oscars
Probably
because he made one movie.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck y'all, I'm out. You know,
Yeah.
but no, it's like his commentary is like, I remember this day on set. It rained all day. Just really, really unpleasant to shoot through this rain. And it's just like, all right, this is obnoxious. Turn off this commentary. Let's just watch the fucking movie.
Never.
Come on.
Do you guys know what Mel Gibson movie he is currently working on a sequel to?
No.
One that he either directed or starred in? The Passion of the Christ.
A sequel.
He's working on a sequel to the Passion of the Christ.
Oh, that's good.
What's the sequel?
I don't know. I think it might be Jesus in Hell. Like, he spent technically the story.
Is Jim Caviezel reprising his role? Because that dude could use some work.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's kind of gone a little like weirdly alt-righty type. So, or maybe not alt-right, but like heavily outspokenly Christian. So that's not done favors for him in Hollywood. But I mean, you kind of want to look grizzled and destroyed if you're spending 3 days in hell, right? So it might be.
Is that the bet that Jesus is 3 days in hell?
Yeah.
You know, I might actually watch that.
It could see. That's the shitty thing is that that premise is like interesting, but the fact that like Mel Gibson is gonna make it.
I don't have any like defaultly like shitty feelings about Mel Gibson. I personally don't.
I don't either.
He's just so outwardly spoken like Catholic now. It's weird.
It is weird, but I mean,
he'll be over it in a couple years.
Also, he's very openly anti-Semitic. Like,
yeah, he's all over the map.
Yeah, I mean,
he's all over the map.
There is that, but
all right. Well, we didn't come here today to talk about Mel Gibson or Wes Anderson or terrible Predator 2 movie that you should not watch.
A fucking genuine romantic comedy.
Yeah, today's feature, and that's debatable. I think it's debatable.
I think it's genuine, debatable that it's genuine.
I think it's debatable that it's a romantic comedy.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because you advertised it to me that way, Reese. Like last week, you were like, it's a rom-com, and I'm like,
I feel like that's the most accurate way.
I think that's a fair description, and like I think that if you look it up, they anywhere they're gonna sell it as a romantic.
It's definitely
comedy.
informed by romantic comedy.
Yeah, it tries to. It definitely it's a balancing act.
I mean,
but
it's a drama.
Today's feature is Reese's Pick Broadcast News, and I'm going to read once again the letterboxed short description that we get, which includes the tagline, which I love.
1987.
Yes.
Currently available to purchase and rent at all the normal Vudu, Apple, Amazon places. Not streaming anywhere on any services besides buying it.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's directed by James L. Brooks, longtime Simpson showrunner and director of Terms of Endearment. Tagline: it's the story of their lives. Basket Case Network news producer Jane Craig falls for new reporter Tom Grunick. Is it Grunick or Grunick? I don't actually hear his last name uttered.
I think it's Grunick.
Okay, Grunick. A pretty boy who represents the trend towards entertainment news she despises. Aaron Altman, a talented but plain correspondent, carries an unrequited torch for Jane. Sparks fly between the three as the network prepares for big changes, and both the news and Jane must decide between style and substance.
Yeah, it's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thumbing through synopsis earlier, and a lot of the synopsis I saw kept identifying Tom, Will Hurt's character, is like vapid and like a fucking and vain, and in actuality, the character is not.
Oh, I don't think he's vain at all.
Either of those things. Like he's a pretty boy.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, I actually really like his character because he's conscious of that.
Yeah.
The entire film, like there's an opening scene that shows him when he's young, and he's just like, man, I'm just gonna go through life and everything's just gonna be okay. It's really weird.
Yeah.
You know?
So that opening scene actually is one of my favorite sequences when like he starts like screaming at himself, like "I'll do better."
No, for sure.
And like his dad's just kind of like freaking out watching this happen. And afterwards, he's like basically like slapping himself.
Yeah.
Like I'll do better. And he's like, well, that was a good talk, Dad. And his dad just looking at him like, what a fucking weirdo.
No, and he's the whole movie. He's super self-aware, and like he's definitely not vain, and definitely not vapid. And I think that I really appreciated that about him. He's full well aware of who he is and how he got to where he is and how his life works. And I really appreciate that in the character.
Well, let's go ahead, Reese, break it down. I think there's like probably like 3 main characters we really need to note here.
Yeah. Really, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bit characters and stuff, but really the only important characters
it's the 3
are Jane, played by Holly Hunter. And if this isn't her breakout role, it's like one of her first 3 roles.
Yeah. And it's fantastic too. She does.
Oh yeah.
She does so
and
good.
she's just so fucking adorable. But also, like, I feel like a very
Reese has a little crush on Holly Hunter.
in this movie specifically.
Specifically.
And in The Incredibles. Yeah.
She in The Incredibles? Is she the mom?
Elastigirl. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's fucked up? I rewatched the movie with my wife, and like she like was on like IMDb looking up like the info as we were watching it, and she's like, "Oh my god!" She's like, I knew that voice. She's the mom from The Incredibles, and she looks exactly like the mom from The Incredibles.
She
and
does.
like I didn't actually. It's been so long since I saw The Incredibles. I had to look up a photo of the mom from The Incredibles, and she does look like Holly Hunter. I never noticed that.
It's really interesting how often they did that, like real subtly in Pixar movies. Then the second character is
Aaron
Altman, played by Albert Brooks. Probably the lesser known of the cast. I don't know. None of them are hugely famous these days.
No, not these days.
I actually, for me, I don't think of him as the lesser known. I think William Hurt's is actually the lesser known for me.
That's true.
I recognized him more than
like Albert Brooks to me is I think he's kind of a character actor.
Yeah.
But he always delivers. Like I've never seen him.
He's a
be
good
bad.
actor. And the first thing I knew Albert Brooks from, speaking of Pixar, is Marlin, the dad in Finding Nemo.
Okay.
So, like,
yeah. His voice.
Yeah, he voiced the dad.
Instantly recognizable as that.
And then, yes, the third character is Tom Grunick, played by William Hurt. Again, just I don't really. I don't think of William Hurt very often. Period. I don't know what he's been doing lately.
No.
Did he die recently?
I don't know. Did he?
I don't think so. I haven't.
I honestly, off the top of my head, could not even name another movie.
You know what? He did die because he was in the Marvel movies and they had to recast him.
Oh.
Oh shit. Okay.
All right.
So we can't say anything bad about him.
R.I.P. William Hurt.
I can't name the movies, but I can.
Like I know I've seen him in multiple things, but like I just can't outright name.
He died
William Hurt movie.
March 13th of last year.
If somebody says name your top 3 William Hurt movies, I'm like broadcast news and what else?
I mean, I would say the movies
Big
that
Chill.
I have seen.
Big Chill.
You like the Big Chill, right?
This would be the best.
Oh
movie
yeah,
I've seen him in,
far and
for
away.
sure.
I mean, what I knew him from again growing up was the Lost in Space movie.
Yeah.
Oh shit,
He's
he
the
was in
dad
that.
in
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
like
not very good.
That's what I knew him from.
So I guess Finding Nemo and Finding Dory were probably the next 2 on the list. He's better as a fish voice.
No, that's Albert Brooks.
Actually,
William Hurt.
William. We're on William Hurt now.
Yes.
That's right. Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks is not dead.
Yeah.
William Hurt is dead.
Yeah. Albert Brooks is alive and well.
Yeah.
Maybe not well. He's old.
Yeah, I mean,
but
He's still
how well
working.
can you be when
he's
you're?
he's done a lot of movies
If you
that
got enough
I
money,
like
you
and
should
respect,
do well.
and a
Yeah.
couple that I despise. But anyway,
He was the villain in Drive.
yes, he was very good in that
He's
role.
fantastic
Actually,
in that.
he did a really
I don't know
terrible
what this
movie with Brendan Fraser, who I will argue with many is like he's one of the top 10 worst actors of all time. Brendan Fraser, that is, and he did a movie with him called The Scout. Horrendous movie that doesn't make any sense.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Definitely check that out if you want to watch a bad movie.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser is.
I haven't seen The Whale yet. But don't respect him. Anyway, moving along.
Yeah. So
moving
that's
on.
the cast.
All right. So
Also say a couple like very recognizable character actors show up at various points in the movie. The most notable probably being Joan Cusack, and I guess I don't know.
it's kind of weird to
we're
see
okay
her in
to
a
say
movie
spoilers,
without her
right?
brother. Yeah. Just throw it out there.
Jack Nicholson shows up too.
Yeah. Jack
Well,
Nicholson makes kind of
actually-
like an unbilled,
Yeah,
almost like a
very
cameo.
unbilled.
Yeah.
Specific.
Funny you say that about Joan Cusack though. This Wikipedia has John Cusack listed as a credit of Angry Messenger. So I guess he had a cameo.
Probably a cameo that got cut. I don't remember John Cusack.
I would have.
Well, Angry Messenger feels like it could have been someone on,
On
a
the phone.
Oh, okay.
It could have been a
That's
voice
fair.
cameo.
Yeah, that's fair.
Voice cameo.
Yeah, voice cameo.
Because that's a fucking cameo.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Especially how fast paced some of this movie is.
Did you guys watch the Knives Out sequel last year?
Yeah, they loved
Glass
it.
Onion?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Loved it.
fantastic.
I like it better
Joseph,
than the original.
there's a gong that plays.
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt has a voice cameo as the gong on the island.
Oh, that's fantastic. Of course
He's got a
That's
gong in his
awesome.
house, and he just like did an audio bit of him
Yeah,
like sounding his gong, and ends up in the movie. That's
Right.
some bullshit.
that's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was involved.
Yeah,
I
I
love
think
that guy.
I think he's had a role in all of that director's movies, whether or not they're lead roles like in Looper
Right.
or just a voice cameo.
Yeah. He whispered into the gong sound to make it gong.
He even had has a cameo in The Last Jedi. That why can't I think of what his name is? Directed the guy who directed Glass
Okay.
Onion. Yeah,
Right.
he directed The Last Jedi. And there's an alien who rats out some of the characters to the
Ah,
police
okay,
at one
okay.
point, and he's voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Nice.
Interesting.
Voice cameos, man, they're fun.
All right.
I feel like that's like the most personal. That's just for me, right? That's just the creator. I want my friend in this movie.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's cool.
that's
Like,
dope.
if I were to be producing something of that scale, I would absolutely want my homies involved at every possible turn. I would make it happen. Like, I got some random thing, man. You got 5 minutes? All right, cool.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So does that do it? Have we have we closed the book on broadcast news?
Yeah,
I
man.
think we have more to say, right?
No,
Oh,
yeah,
we
yeah.
absolutely do, for sure.
So Reese, why did you pick broadcast news?
I originally, so when I was getting into the Criterion collection, there's so many in the collection, even at the time, and this was like when I was a teenager, there was still like 600 or 700 movies in the collection, I think. And so like, I being a collector want the entire set. And hopefully if I
Right.
live long enough, I will have the entire set.
They keep making more though, right?
They do keep making
You gotta
more.
be
It's gonna make it
aggressive.
hard.
They announce
Be
like
aggressive.
3 to 5 every month. So,
Yeah.
but eventually I'm going to be a millionaire, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well,
American dream.
that'll get you there.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
So I, starting out, I was looking for especially because they're all foreign films and art films and obscure films for the most part at the time. I'm looking for recommendations and stuff of where to go and what direction to start with, So like, I originally got The Leopard because Martin Scorsese had talked about it on a commercial about film restoration, about how it's one of his favorite films. And then I got The Red Shoes because it was one of Clint Eastwood's favorite films. And these are
Right.
my favorite directors.
Right.
And then at that time, Criterion was putting out little YouTube videos called 3 Reasons Why. And it would be a new movie they were bringing to the collection. And it would just be a real simple 3 reasons why we're putting it in the collection. And sometimes it would be like for this one, I think it might have been literally William Hurt, Albert Brooks, and Holly Hunter are the 3 reasons. But then other ones would be like the clouds, and it would talk about the clouds in this movie, and So I went off of that and got broadcast news, and just instantly fell in love with it. It's such a charming movie.
Charming is a very good word.
It's so funny. And especially because like I grew up with my family watching a lot of rom-coms and romantic dramas and stuff. So this just felt like the pinnacle of what those movies could be. I feel like it's just so well written. The characters are all interesting and unique and just so fleshed out. The performances, it's just a great movie.
I think I almost put it in the category of comedic drama more than I would a rom-com.
Yeah.
And just because and it's as sad as it is, when I think rom-com and when anybody thinks rom-com, it's the same formula: boy meets girl, boy gets together with girl, there's some turbulence in the relationship, they break up and then they get back together, and it's actually like as sad as it is, it's kind of the same formula all the time, and like the difference between the good ones and the bad ones are generally like the chemistry on screen between the two actors, and then kind of just like the what's left to fill in the blanks. I don't really get the feel of rom-com here. I think that broadcast news kind of has a broader story.
It does.
It's got much deeper meanings and stuff. But
like to me, like the characters to me are much more in love with their work than they are each other.
Yeah. And that's like the major conflict of the story.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now the romance is a mechanic to push these characters along. Yeah. And it definitely is very drama forward, and it is much more than just the romance, but I think the romance is created by the setting, by the circumstance. It's created by they're romantically involved, in the work as much as they are each other, and part of that romantic involvement with each other is absolutely the work.
Yeah.
But it's still, no matter what, I think romance is a huge component here, even if it's not romance amongst the characters individually, but just it's a very romantic thing regardless. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. There's romance going on. Romance is a major plot point.
Yeah. Romance with the job. Like Jane is a super idealistic, she's not a what was she producer. Yeah. Okay, she's super idealistic producer in this thing, and like romance is really like idealism at the end of the day, and so like there's romance in that, and I think I agree with you that there's a lot more of that. I think that's at least the other half of the movie is the romance in regards to the trade and craft of the thing as the characters themselves, because they wouldn't be so romantically involved with each other if it weren't for the thing they're mutually pursuing.
Yeah. So the basic like early outline of a plot as far as character development is you have Jane, who is like she's a workhorse, right? She's like very into her job. She takes it very seriously, and she thinks that the people who tell you the news should be very into the news.
Right.
And so Alan is kind of like her best buddy, and like kind of has similar values, and they've kind of come up together. He is like very much in the know in the news, but not exactly the best guy to have in front of the camera.
Not photogenic.
Yeah. And so enter Tom, William Hurt's character, who is much more of a he's much more of a TV personality, who even like admits early on in the film like he doesn't even understand the news that he's broadcasting half the time.
Yeah.
And so so she doesn't really respect Tom, but she's very attracted to Tom. And so it kind of becomes this weird love triangle. Again, I don't know that it's as much about people as it is people's jobs, and like and that's part of the thing for Jane is like she's kind of torn, not because she's attracted to somebody that she doesn't respect, but because she can't deal with the fact that she's attracted to somebody that she doesn't respect. She feels like a hypocrite.
So
Hypocrite.
I think for me, I think that so as I said earlier, I think Tom's character, he's very honest in what he does. And I think that it goes beyond, like, a lot of the synopsis identify that Jane's is attracted to him because of, like, he's handsome and he's hunky. But Jane's such an idealist that I don't think that's really the whole picture there. I think she's actually, I think there are scenes too that they can show that in their performances, that she's appreciative of his honesty in that. And I think that it goes beyond just her being attracted to him because he's fucking attractive, you know?
Well, I think that's like the whole point. Like they say in the movie is that like he's the antithesis of everything.
Yeah, she hates what he stands for and what's happening.
Mm-hmm. But she's attracted. She's attracted to him because he's handsome and charming.
Right.
And she thinks he's bad for the news because he's handsome and charming.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just saying that I think that from watching the film, I think the character appreciated the honesty, because if it's such an idealized character, wouldn't just like fall in if there wasn't something else to seal that deal, you know?
Yeah.
That's my take on that.
And like as far as the whole concept of like a guy who is more of an entertainer than, you know, a guy who's really in the know about the news. Right. I think that like that whole concept probably doesn't work if that film was made today, because that's just kind of the world we live in.
Well, and that's what
entertainment first. And
that's what this movie is about that transition.
Yes.
It's showing the transition from news to be news entertainment, which is what we have now.
Yeah.
And that's the whole.
Because the core values of the Alan character and the Jane character are not really represented with the brass of the news, you know, vehicle that they work for. Yeah. I mean, because they love Tom. They fucking love Tom. The brass loves Tom. Tom's on the road to success almost immediately.
Yeah. Just like day to day getting promotions.
Without
trying. Day to day.
And full well aware that he's just like, fuck, it just keeps happening.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, one thing I wanted to touch on, because they do the beginning of this movie just outright does a just like a flat out job. Like they try to paint the picture of Tom being the world's biggest dumbass. Like they go out of their way. Like there's a scene where like they're talking about like, I don't know how dumb he is, and she like looks over and he's eating a deviled egg, and like it's really one of the funniest
scenes. It's the most awkward thing.
Yeah, and it's like falls out of his mouth and he like catches it like in a like a really dramatic way, and like it's just like they make him look like such a dummy, and like as you really like delve into the meat of like there's another line where he like asks her for help, and he's like, I would really
love to pick your brain for a bit.
Yeah, and he was like, I would like, the way he words it is like, I would.
Oh yes, he says like, I would really like a lot.
I really much appreciate.
Really like a lot.
They make him this like clown, but as you start to dig into it, and I think like when you get later into the movie, especially when Alan's character is actually, you know, getting his big shot to make a live appearance as an anchor, and he asks Tom for help, you really start to see that like they do such a good job of tearing him down as being an idiot early, that like it kind of overshadows like this is actually a really talented guy. I mean, for what he does, like he does it better than anybody. There's a reason he's on the fast track.
His enthusiasm is highlighted in an earlier scene when he first comes to the station, and it's in the heat of the moment, and they're trying to push this story through, and everything's fucking crazy, and he's just kind of tailing along, and he's seeing Jane working her magic, and all this crazy shit's happening. It's the scene where the chick, I can't remember her name, the supporting actress, is like running through the fucking
Joan
news
Cusack
station. Oh, is that Joan Cusack?
Yeah, that's Joan Cusack.
That is Joan Cusack. I wonder. Okay. Yeah, affirmed. But yeah, like all the nonsense of that, like her getting the tape to where it needs to go. But like in that moment when he's observing Jane at work, he's just enamored by what the process is, and he's so impressed and he's just so excited. And like, I think that's a big part of that character is his enthusiasm. Like, yeah, he's a dumbass, but he knows he's a dumbass, but he still like has a skill set, because you'd have to, by being a dumbass your whole life and being a handsome dumbass, you're going to gain a skill set. You know,
Yeah.
like, you're going to pick up on what's being put down, and it shows him do that through his life. Like, yeah, I'm a dipshit, but like, this is the tool I have to use, so I'm going to learn how to use it. And yeah, he knows what he's doing. But yeah, he's a genuine character at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, and that actually, going back to that sequence when he's kind of helping out Alan with his performance and giving him pointers. That's actually one of my favorite sequences of the movie, just because you do see the level of his skills and like and actually Alan gets excited because Alan's like the first one like sandbagged him in every turn like.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look at this fucking dumbass. Like he's got that going the whole movie, and then in this one little scene here, he actually realizes like these are good tips. He's actually saying it outwardly like that's a really good tip. It's like, hey, sit on the bottom of your suit jacket so that it pulls it down and doesn't make your shoulders puff out. Like giving him little tips here and there, and he's like, remember to like one word in every sentence. Totally like punch that one word. To really bring vibrato to what you're saying, and just giving these little tips and honestly really gets Alan excited. Like,
is it Alan or Aaron?
Aaron. I said
Aaron.
Alan like 15,000 times. You're gonna let me say Alan 50 times before you.
I was counting so I could know how much of a dumbass you are.
All right. Well, wow. Okay. So Adam.
It's Adrian.
Adrian. Yeah. Okay. So Aaron Altman. Anyway, Aaron Altman gets these tips, and like that's actually something like a big part of the movie, and probably the funniest part of the movie is when he actually has to do his do his little anchor run there for the night. But like, there's a scene after that where he's just kind of like, he's kind of really down on Tom because it didn't go like according to like how he thought it was going to go.
Right.
But he even outwardly admits that like he wouldn't be so down on Tom if it would have went well, because he knows that he actually did get good advice and it just didn't work out for him.
Oh yeah. And I guess that kind of illustrates.
I said Alan like 37 times. You fucking assholes.
Hey, I was trying to do the favor. It's okay now. Next time
we can fix that in post. It's okay.
We will not. We will not. We'll leave it. We'll leave it. This conversation has to be in.
So the thing is, I think that Alex is actually a little conceited. Yeah. That's when.
He's
family,
extremely.
You mean Alvin?
Extremely. Yeah,
You mean Alvin, right?
Yeah.
Like
Alan,
from his
Alex,
introduction.
I like Adrian. I think his name should just be Adrian.
Yeah, we're changing it.
Well,
It's Adrian Altman.
A. Your nickname is A.
Yeah.
Hey, it's too long. Your nickname's A.
Yeah, he's definitely. It's one thing I always like feel for the obviously in love guy a little bit, because like he's just so.
I think you can relate to all three characters. That's
no,
why
you can,
but
and that's why they are great.
That's what makes it like he's the painful one to relate to, because like we've all had that hopeless crush.
For sure. That's still like a super genuine relationship.
Yeah,
one person, and that's one thing that it's a good example of the the typicality of our human like romantic rituals. You got this guy that's obviously fucking in love with you, or this person that's obviously in love with you, but you've grown too close to them over time.
Mm-hmm.
And the status quo of relationships is like, you just have to pursue someone based on some animalistic bullshit, as opposed to this real commitment that this person has that respects you.
Yeah.
And it was a good example of that, and it's always a hard thing to have to watch, for sure.
Yeah.
But
I feel like the reason I feel comfortable calling it a rom-com is because it does have that like will they won't they love triangle aspect.
Yeah, no, it's very romance forward, but it's romance done in a very, by the end of the film, it's a romance done in a super adult an honest way.
Yeah.
And that's what's really what I think sets it apart from just a romantic comedy. Because like Dustin said, romantic comedies are always just like the fucking generic ass formula of that, and this movie upsets that formula and just approaches it.
I feel like that's another reason why it's so satisfying.
I feel like there's no pull for me, right? Like I don't really want any of these characters to be together, you know? Yeah. Like I don't have that feeling. Like I'm not rooting for any of these people to get together. I feel like it's
if anything, you're rooting the opposite.
You're immersed in the same experience that they're immersed in, and that's delivering the news. Yeah. Like what the movie really does is make you immersed in that process, and them actually like getting together in a very serious way would take them away from what that thing is. So like, you just want to see how this plays out. You want to see them grow as characters, but you don't really care if they're romantically involved because, likelihood romantic involvement's going to upset what they're actually trying to do and what the movie's actually about, which is that that craft.
Yeah.
I actually have a hard time, I think, relating to any of the trio of the main stars. I do because I don't feel that way. Like I think that they're like so into what they do, like for a career, that they don't. I feel like they kind of lack basic human interaction, like just skills,
So that I think that means you are what we call neurotypical.
Okay. I mean, whatever. If you want to make it a review about me, that's fine.
I feel like, obviously, no, I don't like, but I've never had a drive in that fashion for a career. But like, I've had, Jane's like drive for passion in a belief, of what is right and wrong.
Yeah.
And then of course, like, Tom is like the Albert or William Hurt character is such like just that imposter syndrome of like, I haven't earned this. I'm somewhere I do not belong. They're going to find out I'm a fraud, type thing.
You're right.
Yeah. I just, my problem is I think that, and granted, you want your characters to be flawed. You do. But I just think that the flaws in like there are like just each one has like kind of definitive flaw to where like I don't know who I'm supposed to be rooting for in this movie, and like granted, like spoiler, I actually really enjoyed the film. So I don't want it to sound like too much of a negative, but that is one of the few problems I have is I don't know who I'm supposed to be rooting for. So
with this movie, sorry.
No. So for the Jane character for me, like her like frequent like breakdowns, like she's like it feels like once a day she has to just like start crying for
and actually
like no apparent reason.
That probably should have been mentioned. That's noteworthy. That's one of the more noteworthy things.
We're trying this new thing where we go completely not linear at all.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Especially with this film with being just a ball of concepts. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm a very structured.
You're gonna watch the fucking movie anyway, or at least you should. So.
Yeah. We didn't even say the part where you should watch the movie, but you should watch the movie.
You should watch the fucking movie.
But anyway,
that's what I was saying.
So Jane has this thing where she like she's obviously got some problems, right? Like if once a day you just start crying for like no reason, and there's like one scene where she's at her desk and she's like fucking just like outwardly bawling, and like a dude walks by and is like, "Good morning." And like it's just like okay, this is just a common thing. She just does this all the time.
So I actually really appreciate the character I identify the most with is Jane because of that just fucking tenacious like pursuit of her career and maintaining that pursuit of her career in context to her ideals. Like that's exactly how I function every day. And those scenes to me were some of the more powerful because like when you go so hard all the time, and for that you have to go so hard all the time to reach that level, it has consequence, real consequence, and that consequence has to come out somehow, somewhere, sometime. And so I really appreciated those really honest scenes where she was just like, it just has to come out, and then she's like
decompression almost.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Or like a
that's
meditation.
Exactly what it
that's
was.
how I always
decompression.
It's overall not explained, but we do know that she's suffering from something that she needs help on.
The explanation is
Who isn't?
That's the explanation. It's her pursuit of this thing. It's her dogged pursuit and commitment.
But like those around her have obviously accepted it as a normal thing that she goes through.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
But then, so to piggyback on that, like my other issues with Jane the character is that this like attraction she has towards Tom is just, it's such a hypocritical like viewpoint for the character, because, and I get that's the whole point of the movie, is like she's attracted to somebody who's so against everything she believes in. Well, it's like they're like it kind of makes her stupid on some level. Like she totally looks past some things, you know.
She does, but that's why I specifically brought up what I mentioned earlier, is that I think that what really, like, it's not just the attraction. I think there is a moment, and there are moments where she really appreciates his honesty. Because, like, while, yeah, he looked into this shit, he's just a pretty guy that's good with people and good with a camera, like, there is an underlying honesty to his character. And that's what I think makes her not stupid for having an attraction to this guy, because I think that is what actually makes the character attractive, is the fact that this guy is, even though he's a dipshit, he's honest about being a dipshit. He's honest about not knowing what the fuck he's doing. And I think that's what really actually attracts her to him, in my opinion, is that. Because otherwise, yeah, it does compromise her whole character. If there's not something there, her character is compromised. And I think that's what does it, is that she's relieved, and especially when there's such a push in this industry to not be, and that sets up a thing later in the movie, to be catastrophic in their relationship. She needs more, you know, she needs that, and I think that's what validates it.
So. I don't think it compromises her character that she's.
I never said her character was compromised. I just think that all these I don't know who I'm supposed to be rooting for in this film. Like I've rewatched it, and like I had the same feeling both times, right? So like I have the Jane character, she's kind of going against, like, she has really like really strong feelings on what she believes in, and like the whole time she's going against those feelings. And you have the Tom character, who basically is kind of a used car salesman, and you know, like I feel like he kind of uses, like, he knows he's not the smartest guy, but he's not a stupid guy. Like, he uses that to his advantage, you know? Like, he even says in a scene, you know, like, that, like, you're selling yourself, you know? And he knows what he's doing, even though he doesn't know, you know, common things like what time of day it is, or like where he stands in the company hierarchy, you know? Like, there's a scene with Albert Brooks where he's like, they're grooming you to have it all, and you don't even realize it, you know? Yeah. And so for Albert Brooks's character, I feel like he's kind of got like this bitter pill, you know, like throughout the whole thing.
He's an asshole to everybody.
You know, he's an asshole to everybody. But the thing is,
even to Jane, who he's like just begging to love him.
He's an asshole to everybody. But like when I really think about it, I think I actually am rooting more for his character than anyone in the film. And there's a scene where...
I think that he is the guy to root for if you're rooting for somebody. But I don't think the film is a film that you need to root for anybody. I think it's just the experience.
Sure. But I'm just saying, this is my take on it, is like I found it hard to root for any one character. Like And
he is a rootable guy.
And I do think that there's a scene where he's talking about Tom, and he's basically saying Tom is the devil.
Oh, he's literally saying Tom is the devil.
He's literally saying Tom is the devil. And his description of Tom about, like, hey, if the devil would be somebody that you'd be attracted to. He would be good looking. He would be charismatic. He would have a job where he would, you know,
influence
millions of people.
Yeah.
And like, the more you start to listen to it, and you've seen the scenes from Tom, and like how he uses the tools that he has, like, it's hard to disagree with it, you know? Like, now at the same time, I'm kind of down on what do we call him, Aaron? I'm kind of down on Albert Brooks's character, because he's kind of being a little whiny bitch about it, you know, because
Aaron's his actual name.
Aaron. So Aaron is like, he's saying all these things which are actually right on the money, but the reason he's saying them is because he's butthurt because he's kind of jealous of the guy.
Yeah.
You know, like what it comes down to is jealous. And I don't know, so I kind of, that was one thing. I've watched the movie a couple times now, and I really enjoy the movie. I think it's actually really funny. We haven't talked about any of the really funny
it's
scenes.
so funny.
Yeah.
But to me, that was the one thing that was kind of pulling on me. I thought it was actually a great film, but I didn't. The characters, something about it didn't sit right with me on like where we were going with these characters, and I still don't know if I 100% understand. The Tom character, I don't really know who he is. I know who people perceive him to be, but I don't know who he really is. I know he's smarter than what people think he is, but I don't know how smart he actually is.
Well, I think, to me, that's the most. I actually really like that. I probably like that character the most out of the three characters because he's the most interesting. Because Aaron is a pretty typical, intellectual that's kind of a pussy and is mad that he's so much of a pussy but can admit how much of a pussy he is to himself, so he just keeps on being a mad pussy while being really smart, and in turn becomes super conceited. And Jane is just a dogged pursuer of her goals and is oblivious to everything else. And Tom is interesting because he's pegged as so many things, but in the performance he is just what he is. And you can wonder what is this guy, who is this character, but he is just what he is. He's a guy that's, through the film, through your experience with this character, is defaultly honest. He's never dishonest, other than, there is one moment that he's dishonest. Outside of that, but again, that just plays into his character. Outside of that, he is very present and aware of what he is, who he is, what he does. He knows his place in the world, but he's still excited about the world he's finding himself in. He's not any kind of a bad guy. He's just...
I think the point, that's I understand it's in, it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person to accept things that happen to you.
Right.
But that's kind of why she is having the biggest conflict with him, is that he keeps, she says it, it's oh man, all this good stuff happens to me and I don't deserve it, but I admit it, so it's fine. Right. That's he doesn't deserve this. He's taking money and positions from people who are more qualified and more deserving, and just acting guilty about it, but taking it anyway.
Well, okay, so that's where you get to a point of contention. That's where there could be a debate, is because
And I agree with you. I think, because I don't think that that's actually true. I think that from the perspective of the Jane and the Aaron character, he's taking money, and even himself, he's taking, outwardly, he's saying it's money I don't deserve, a position I don't deserve. But as you actually watch the film, there's a really good sequence with the studio manager and Jane, where she there's some breaking news, and it's we need to put this together right now, and we're gonna have Tom be the anchor for it, and she pulls him aside, and she's he's not ready for this. He is not, and he's just and it's actually one of the funnier scenes in the movie where he's just okay, I hear you, and I disagree.
Yeah.
That's your opinion, and I disagree with it. And she's like, no, it's not my opinion. And he's like, oh, okay, so you know everything. It must be so good to know everything. And that's
that was a great,
yeah. She's no, actually, no, it's awful.
Yeah.
But that whole thing, as you go through it, and then later on, it's verified. The studio manager actually knew what he was doing. Tom was the better guy to anchor that, even though...
But it gets to the point where they're firing people, and they're letting the qualified people who are doing the research and the writing and the reporting, things that he openly admits he can't do, in order to pay him more.
And that's what this film is an examination of a problem that has occurred, that we are now dealing with in our modern society, is the shift from news being news to news being entertainment, and with a little bit of news dashed in. And yeah, it is a problem, but I don't think that this. So with that, the quote that you mentioned earlier, where like she's like, oh, like he admits that it's he doesn't know what he's doing, so that's how he comforts himself, or he's just actually genuinely. That's where it's a point. Like it's a point of perspective. Like you could say that when anybody admits fault, you could just be like, oh, you're doing it just to save face, or they're actually doing.
But he's not doing anything to stop it, right? He's like she says, you could learn, you could take classes, you could go to college. He's
Well,
not
that's
doing
that's
any
the
of it.
thing. No, he actually through the movie is trying to learn. You can see the excitement in the character's face as he's actually getting to witness this shit firsthand, and him taking it in. That first scene that I mentioned earlier, where he was just blown away at how good Jane was at all this shit. He was just like standing back, like, "Oh my god, this is fucking fantastic," and he asks for help all the time. So yeah, he is trying to learn through the movie, as far as I could tell. He was trying to do so. He didn't do so up to that point, and that's an easy criticism for that character to make. But at the end of the day, too, like the reality of the world around us is that we we operate on what we have, you know, and the world is what it is, and do what you have to do, you know,
Yeah.
like you do it, and that's what I do appreciate about this movie is that it's a good example of like you can do it idealistically, or you can do it the easy way, or if you're born into the easy way, because that happens a lot too. Like it's, I don't think Tom is choosing to do it the easy way. He's just doing what he can do.
I don't.
You know
I
what
think
I'm
that's
saying?
kind of again. That's part of the conflict with his character. He's not choosing anything. It just keeps happening to him.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's working with the tools that he has. It does keep happening to him, but that is the
I
nature.
agree
Of,
that
it's an
he's-
examination of the nature of the world.
I agree that he's working with the tools that he has. So like in this sequence that I'm talking about, where you know they're having this little party, all of a sudden breaking news. We want Tom to do this. She disagrees. Has it out with the station manager. He's like basically go fuck yourself. You don't know anything, and so Tom's gonna do it. And even though we have Aaron over here who has like firsthand knowledge and experience with the entire situation. I don't even remember what the news. Some like Bosnia, something.
Something like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
Something to do with jets or
something to do with
potential
jets. Well,
bombing.
yes, some bullshit like that. And like, so basically, it ends up being this thing
Bullshit.
where Tom is the anchor, Jane is the producer, and so we have basically Aaron on the sideline, but he's like getting drunk on some like really nasty looking vodka drink. Like literally, he poured like half a bottle of vodka into a margarita mug and like added what I believe was like orange juice concentrate, like frozen, and
Yeah.
just like mixed it with his finger. It was the grossest shit I've ever seen. Fucking gross. And so he's like
Hobo's
trashed,
drinking.
but he's calling in to to Jane, putting in the points of his knowledge, and she is basically
feeding it into
Tom's
Tom's
ear, and like that to me is really shows like the talent. There aren't a lot of people that can do that. There aren't a lot of people who can speak intelligent. Like this is not an intelligent man, but he's speaking as if he were an intelligent man
In the
to all of
moment.
America while he's got somebody in his
Yeah.
ear talking to him. Like that is that is really the job.
Actually, like this scene, and I earmarked it to me as one of the most important scenes in the movie, and it has a lot of levels to it. So like this scene is really showing how much each of these characters is important to the process, right? Like,
yeah.
and it's all, and that's the bit. That's the process of life as we know it. Is the moving parts generating a positive effect, you know, no matter how the parts feel about their part in the moment, like it takes all the parts. And like that's a great example of that. Because none of this shit would work without all these moving parts. And like the parts can feel however they want to feel about their lot in life, their destiny, what they should or shouldn't have. It doesn't matter because you're going to be the part you're going to be, and you're going to deliver when you need to deliver, and all that other shit's fucking moot. And that's how the film ends, with no animosity between the characters and acceptance of them all having to have done what they needed to do in the moment, is just confirmation of that. You know, like that's what makes this I love it as an adult comedy because or adult romance because it all the characters do what they need to do to the best of their abilities when they need to do it, and all can come to a conclusion that's positive and then respect each other. You know.
Yeah. I think one of the so I really love this particular scene when you've got Aaron on the phone feeding lines to Jane and like there's like this is really where you see Jane at her best because she's multitasking like a motherfucker, like feeding lines, taking calls, getting information last minute, throwing it in at the last minute. Aaron calls and is like, hey, there's a guy who lives in the area that'd be a really good interview for this, and like so they're like trying to like hurry this guy to the station, and like she gets a last minute call that like some kind of parking thing, and she's like screaming at the person on the line saying like, I don't want to hear about any fucking parking, like get him in here, you know. And like and the whole time the station manager is just like, fuck, I didn't know she was this good, you know. Like it's really a nice like place to show her abilities. And you know, afterwards everybody's like, well, wasn't Tom great? And you realize that really, like, I mean, he honestly, they want you to feel as if like, well, it was these other two that did all the work, but like Tom was great because Tom was like speaking to an entire nation while like
dealing with all this shit.
Yeah, while dealing with this information being spewed into his ear.
That scene showed how much they actually needed each other.
No, they worked as a team.
Yeah, exactly.
They worked really well as a team.
That is, you know, harbored more as the film goes on, that they do have an awareness of how important each other are to each other, and a lot of the things they did wouldn't have been done without that. So yeah, it's a fantastic scene. Scene.
Yeah, it's also like super intimate, like especially with her and Tom back and forth, like in the air and the close-ups. And there's a great shot. I think it's like the cover of the Criterion where it's like her face with his face on the screen in the background and weird focus.
Afterwards, he describes it as like they have the scene together, Jane and Tom. And he's like, it was like sex, you know, but it's like more than that. Yeah,
you know, and that's where I was going with it too, John. It's like the scene right after where they're comparing it to sex and how it's like basically it's something more. It's better than sex, you know, and that to me is where the disconnect on it being a romantic comedy happens because they are so much more in love with their work than they are people in relationships.
That's why what made that what it was the moment, and the moment was created by the craft that they're doing. So.
Yeah. Also, poor Jane is trying to get laid the entire movie and is thwarted by Tom's stupidity at every turn. Every time she's about to get laid by Tom, he says something really stupid. Yeah. She like just rolls her eyes and like, God damn it, I shouldn't be with this guy.
Well, I mean, it's also her own sharp tongue, right? Like, I mean, like she's pushing him away.
Yeah, but like, so like in their first scene, he just keeps talking about how lucky he is and everything, and she's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, let's have sex. It's like, yeah, but like everything keeps happening good for me. She's like, okay, whatever, let's do something. And it's like, whatever. It's like, okay, fine, you're an idiot, you know, like,
yeah. She got him in his own head. She got him in his own head. Yeah. So then the second opportunity is like basically they're going out on a date while Aaron is doing his little like weekend anchor job that Tom had kind of helped him prep for, and he's all excited for it. He's nervous for it, and he is nervous for it. Which in the previous scene when they're at the party, and all of a sudden it's like we're doing this right now. There's a little scene between Jane and Tom where she's like, "Are you nervous?" He's like, "No, I'm excited," and that to me just speaks of the talent of Tom and the difference between his character and Aaron's character are really a lot like just an average newscaster. Like he isn't nervous. He is excited to do this, you know, to take this challenge. So this is like the funniest scene in the movie. Aaron's doing his like weekend like anchor job and like his first, and he's just like literally turning into a boat. I mean, he and like literally sinking in front of your eyes
of sweat.
Yes, this flap sweat is like it is cartoonish. It's crazy. And like between cuts, they have makeup people coming like dabbing his forehead,
Changing his shirt,
and he's just like sweating right through it. It is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
And so basically, so while this is happening, and he is basically just dying on camera. Tom and Jane are Tom and Jane really. Tom and Jane are having like their date, and basically the date like it starts off like they're going to this party together.
Yeah.
But she puts a big wad of condoms in her purse, and they're as they're going to get into the party, there's like a bag check, and she doesn't want to like
they're dumping bags out.
Yeah, they're dumping bags out, and she just stuffed a bunch of condoms in hers. So she's like, hey, let's get out of here, And so like this is literally turning into like she's getting laid tonight, but then it kind of turns into okay, now I got to go comfort.
I gotta go check in on. She doesn't even know it.
Yeah, she doesn't even know.
I gotta go check in on.
She doesn't even know, and that's actually another funny scene. And like, she's like, "How'd it go?" He's like, "You didn't see it or talk to anybody?" No. Oh, then it went great.
Yeah, people called in. They were worried. He's like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad." No, really.
No, yeah, it was.
Yeah, the dialogue there is.
So people called in complaining. No, they were actually like worried about me that I was having a heart attack, and so like. So she goes to visit her friend, like to see how it goes, and finds out that it did not go well, and so she calls Tom, and she's like, yeah, I'm kind of dealing with some things over here. Apparently it didn't go well. He's like, yeah, I know, I taped it, and he's like laughing. And she's like, well, it wasn't as bad as he said. He's like,
it's pretty bad.
Yeah, she's like, what was the word she used? Was it like legendarily bad? And he's like, I mean, unless you're counting like Singing in the Rain,
Yeah. And he says, do him a favor, don't pretend like it wasn't bad.
And I really dug that scene. But again, she totally cockblocked herself here, like and it really showed his. Like Tom's character, she's like, hey, no, don't worry about it. You do that. That sounds way more important, and like.
Oh no, that's right. She's gonna go meet up with Tom, and then Tom says, no, you should probably just deal with.
Yeah, you should probably just deal with that. It sounds way more important. She's like, well, I don't think that's necessary. Like she's literally like wanting to still do this. He's like, no, it's cool. I got my dad coming in tomorrow. Right. Like, like I should get to bed anyway. And so she totally cockblocks herself on this one. So. Yeah. Hard for me to feel too sorry
but also,
for.
That's her relationship with Aaron is he is constantly overstepping bounds and acting like he needs someone to take care of him and stuff and like come check in on him.
This is so okay.
I'm glad we made full circle.
Is
like the friend thing. Like he sabotages himself by always being so fucking needy.
Yeah,
because like you're not gonna really be that interested in somebody that's. That,
yeah, and that's my problem with his character, right? Like, is that he does do that. And like he kind of uses his patheticness as a weapon to, like I hate that guy, right?
Yeah.
The guy that like is just like, oh, you don't get to hang out with your lady tonight because this guy needs emotional support.
I think all three of them are incredible characters. Yeah. I don't think any of them are very good people. I wouldn't want to be friends with any of them.
And that's what I was getting to when I said that. Like. I don't know who I'm supposed to root for because at the end of the day, I don't think any of them are exceptional people.
No,
and I think that a lot of
flawed characters.
I think
which is what
the character I relate to the most, and like really am rooting for is Aaron because I think he's an asshole and like I kind of like I like how like open and sarcastic he is.
Yeah,
but like at the end of the day, like I feel like Tom is being the most genuine. Like he's not really being apologetic at any point about how he is, and he's not using anything as an excuse. Where, when you get to that point in the film, Aaron is kind of using this like he knows, like he knows what he's doing. He's just like, oh, you can't just call that off, like at no point is he like doing what like like Tom is immediately just like, oh yeah, that sounds way more important. You should deal with that.
Yeah.
And he's totally just like leaning into it, like, oh well, I think that you should just like not go on your date and you should hang out here with me because I'm sad because something bad happened to me. You know.
Well, I mean, he's very not abusive, but manipulative with his feelings.
Yes.
Because then he's like, oh, take care of me. Oh, don't leave. And then she stays. And then she's like, I love Tom. And then he like screams at her. And that's when he's like, Tom is the devil.
Yeah.
Like, no, me.
I'm a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like he also just kind of throughout the movie, like, she knows how he feels. Like he says it without saying it all the time.
The character that is Jane would never like any chick that is that, or any person that is that. I shouldn't say chick, but just anybody that is in that role will always be like, "Oh, I didn't know. Yeah.
No. I don't think her character does that. I think the implication is that it's been this relationship for years. Like.
Yeah,
sure.
Like,
oh, won't you give me a try?
Yeah, and I buy that.
Like, so I don't think she ever goes like, "What? You love me?"
Right.
She's just going.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I get that dynamic, but it's like that character fucking knows.
Yeah.
All the people in the world that I've known that are like that person knows, and she's like, and that's what's so annoying about that. Like how typical it is. That like, oh, now that you said you love me, I guess I'll like reevaluate to a degree, but like you fucking know it full well the entire time.
Oh, there's a scene way early in the movie where he's like, I wish I could split you in two and have a friend, so that I could talk about the version of you that I like so much. He basically said it then, and she knew it.
Exactly.
She rolled her eyes at it then, so it wasn't a new thing.
The thing is that like that's the same thing. She wants him as a friend, and otherwise she wouldn't be putting up with like the shit. But she wants him to just be friends. Friend zoned him,
No, she's not blind at all to what Aaron's putting out there. I do think she's a little blind to what Tom is putting out, right? Like, because and really what this, like, I think the kind of the biggest sequence, the most important thing in the movie is when he wants to do his own story about like date rape. And so he does this story, and there's a scene in the story where the camera cuts to him, and he's like tearing up hearing this touching story, and she's moved by this. She says, like, I was moved by it. She's like, I don't know if I would have put that in, but I was moved by it. And then it kind of comes back around like late in the film where Albert Brooks's character is like, you know, they only had one camera, like, that was pointed at the girl the whole time. Like ask yourself how we got this scene of him crying. I think that somebody as herself being a producer, like, she should have been able to immediately put that together herself.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of like her relationship with Tom, is that she's so like.
And that's what I'm. That's what I was going with.
In the act of Tom, that she is not.
She's totally blind to something that should be completely obvious to somebody in her
position. I think she's trying to convey the entire movie that she's better than, everyone's fawning over Tom. She's better than that, and then while also being attracted to him, and then that's like the confrontation of like she's realizing she's not better than anybody else. She's just as much caught up in his, charm and stuff, and didn't stop to because it's obvious, because Aaron's character doesn't say like, hey, guess what, they only had one camera. He says like, they only how many cameras did they take? Like, she knows. She just didn't give herself time to
she didn't want to,
she didn't want to, because that's her entire relationship with Tom, is just denying the fact that she should not be with Tom romantically.
And I guess that was part of the like, Tom is kind of manipulative in his own way, because I feel like in a way he's kind of using all these people to his advantage, and like manipulating people with his looks to get what he wants. While I do think that he's probably more in the right than everyone else. Everyone else is kind of putting themselves on a pedestal above him. Well, at the end of the day, I think he's better at his job than what they are. Like he's literally doing the best he can at every particular scenario. He might not be as knowledgeable or, as some of these other people, but I think he's using his skills, and they just want to discount those skills at every turn. I kind of feel bad for his character, but it's hard to feel bad for his character because he's got everything, like
and
the entire time.
We were talking about rooting for which character, and again, to me, there's just not, in this kind of a story, there isn't a character to root for because it's just an examination of human interaction. It's just the human condition. It's just human relationships, and the conclusion is what's really the best, because like you can get caught up in the moments of these interactions and take this away for this character, take this for that character. But a lot of our interactions are generated in the moment, in the context of the moment. And so like the healthy conclusion at the end of the movie is a very satisfying thing, because like, oh, all that shit was just in the moment. Because so much of what we do every day is generated solely from the moment.
Yeah.
And the stresses and, everything in that alone.
Yeah.
Well, even like the very, very end, the flash forward 7 years.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that
it's
scene
like
right there. It's
they meet up, and it's pretty obvious that they have been in each other's lives very little over the past 7 years.
Enough to maintain
but
a
like
connection
they
that's still
instantly,
healthy.
Are pleasant with each other and stuff. I think that's just like that. We're all shitty people. We all do shitty things. You guys probably shouldn't be in each other's lives.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's not
they all
that,
kind of learn their lesson.
like, they're not. None of them are shitty people. They're just people.
Yeah, no, I think
but all people are shitty.
Yeah,
and you really see the
well,
success of
there's
Tom.
a degree of shittiness. But.
Tom now is at the top, and
Yeah.
he is the nightly anchor, and he does his little speech where he even says that he's like, I accepted the job on, with the exception that I would not be the managing editor. He's like, I feel like I'm better like broadcasting the news than I am actually
and
like.
that's Tom's. Honestly.
Yeah, and like honestly, that to me is the news today, right? Like it is about entertainment, like it is a bunch of like rats behind the scenes that are kind of doing all the rats on wheels that are doing all the work to put something in an earpiece so that person, that face on your television screen can deliver the news to you. It's all about entertainment, and that's what it is. And that's why I say that this movie probably, if you make it today, doesn't really make a lot of sense, because I feel like that's just like the Tom character is just like every news anchor today.
Yeah.
And but yeah,
the Jane character doesn't exist. There's no person feeling like they're making a huge difference with Fox News or NBC or
Yeah, and when I said I didn't know who I should be rooting for, I guess what I was trying to say is I don't know who the main character is, because the little letterbox synopsis says that it's Jane, and I guess a lot of people like really can like relate to Jane, but I don't know that Jane's really the main character.
No,
like,
I don't think this is a film that has a main character. I think this film is the three.
It has three main characters.
Yeah. It is the experience of the characters. It's what we're looking at.
Jane is the closest to a POV we get. Like,
the
most of the movie is from her perspective.
For sure.
Yeah. And so
I also like her character the most. Like, I find of the three, I feel like I sympathize most with her character, and also she's the most charming to me. So like,
well,
I can honestly identify with all three characters to some level.
I also can.
But it's this film to me is about just the moment in space, and time of the being in the 80s, the shift from news becoming entertainment, and then just like the dynamic that everyone had to deal with in that industry in those moments, like the layoffs in the film. Like, it's just a lot of real human shit happening on a lot of different levels is what makes this really good.
Yeah.
I feel like when we get to the end, Tom is the most successful. Like he's gonna be. I guess that's arguable, but I mean he is like the lead anchor.
I definitely making the most money, living the most comfortable.
I don't know, because the exception was that he was not going to be the managing editor, and then we find out that she's taking the job to be managing editor. So at the end of the day,
You don't
She's-
think anchors make more than managing editors in news?
I mean, I think that she is his boss,
Yeah,
and so I think
but like Christopher Nolan is,
yeah,
what-
that's fair. I don't.
his
I'm not
boss.
going to pretend to know the news business. It's
Yeah.
very much in sports. Most of the players make more than the coaches do.
yeah,
That's how it goes. But I mean, like at the end of the day, why I said that, I guess it's a level of respect, because at the end of the day, I know that Albert Brooks's character, he's going to be basically doing the news for the rest of his life in a smaller market, and he's going to be giving you better news than what you're getting
Well, I think
from.
yeah. At the end of the
from
day,
what you're getting from Tom and now also Jane, because she's decided to go with the big the big system.
I think they all got to the best place they could get to and would hope to get to.
yeah,
Because, like, yeah, Jane, she's going into the system, but it's like every idealist needs the thing to rage and fight against. So, like, even though it is the big system that she's leading, that she's going to be a part of, like, for her character, that's her just setting up that the thing that she really needs and has shown that she really needs is that struggle. And so she finds the thing that she needs in that. Tom finds the thing that he just is born to do and what he does. And then Aaron finds the thing that...
I don't
Yeah.
remember what Aaron says he was doing at the end of the movie.
I don't know. It's just you just know with like with
Essentially, it all seems satisfying.
yeah,
do,
but
they do.
but that's what it's going to be for him, right? Like he's going to end up being in a smaller market doing the news, and he's going to be a better reporter than what Tom is, because he knows the news better. Maybe not a better. He's going to be a better reporter, not necessarily a better broadcaster.
Yeah.
But she takes the job, and maybe that's the whole point. She's taking the job to basically, be like being the information gatherer for Tom, and maybe part of the reason she takes that job is because she knows that he needs it, and like
Yeah.
that's where she'll actually be,
Right.
useful.
Yeah.
Whereas when you really think about it, the reason that Aaron's going to end up in the position he's going to end up in is because he just at the end of the day couldn't hack it on that level,
Yeah.
and so there's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, like you're getting probably better quality in news if you're getting like his little, whether he ends up in like some small town in Nebraska or whatever, like you're probably getting better news from him.
To me, a lot of that is just them finding the places that they belong most, and after all the fucking trials and tribulations and effort they put in, they find the best fit. I think that's what that is. Like, and if it's for Aaron, it's going to be smaller scale news, but he wants to deliver quality news, so he's going to be able to. And like Tom is what he wants to do. Yeah, it was a good wrap up. It was a good summation. To
Yeah.
the whole effort that the film was.
I think, more than the plot or the anything. I feel like the main drive of the movie is your relationship with the characters and how much you relate to them. I think. Obviously, it's like incredibly well written, but like, yeah, I just feel like it's a really character driven movie.
Oh yeah.
It is, and I guess that's why I just felt pulled in several different directions, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just at the end of the day, I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how they wanted me to feel about the different characters, because I felt like it shifted throughout the movie and never really landed anywhere.
To me, I don't think there was any expectation of a feeling towards one character. I think it was just an examination on their interaction.
Yeah.
And I think I enjoy myself. I enjoy that a lot. I don't need to be pulled one direction necessarily, as long as there's a good payoff. And there was a payoff in this, even though it was, as the viewer, you're pulled so many different directions. Like, the payoff is that there is a resolution.
Yeah.
For everyone, even though it wasn't grandiose necessarily. Like, it was a natural and honest and earnest resolution. And after we watched it, the thing that I said immediately about this thing is that it's just a lot of fucking genuine human interaction.
I
really genuine
feel
human
like
interaction.
if you watch it rooting for one character specifically, you're probably watching it wrong.
Right.
I feel like you're supposed to see each character as equally flawed and wrong and right in their own
Yeah.
way, you know.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's just every person. Like any good drama, those are the characters that they are. Like no one's fucking perfect, and no character should be perfect.
Yeah.
In a relatable piece of art, like
Mhm.
none of us are perfect. We all have some fucking terrible flaw.
This is why John Wick is stupid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, are we ready for final thoughts?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think we got there. Who's going first?
Well, fuck. This movie is funny, you know, and I feel like that's something that we didn't touch on enough.
No,
This movie.
It is a
like-
genuinely
like-
funny movie.
Yeah,
It is.
like there's so much to talk about with the character interactions and the character developments and all that, because that is a lot of what the movie is about. But I think that and we talk about that because that's like it's hard to retell the jokes from the movie and have it be
Yeah,
funny
you
like
can't
it
do
is
that.
when you watch it. But when you watch the movie, you will laugh.
Yeah,
You know, like there are so many funny scenes, just little things. You know, one of the higher ups in the station, like trying to pimp out his daughter,
yeah.
like to basically every up and rising like
Yeah.
star. You know,
When Albert Brooks is trying to remind her
oh
who
my
he
god,
is,
that
and then
is the
she
funniest
gives
scene of the
the
entire.
most like faint.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
can't hear it unless you have subtitles
Oh,
on.
God.
It's like
Yeah,
It's
just
hilarious.
Like, you remember me? He went on vacation with us a couple times. You know, like so all these little like, oh yeah.
You're that guy.
and then as he's walking, he's off camera and he says, "She knows me." Or no, she knows who I am.
Yeah, just little things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually just a really funny movie. It is a what I would call a sweetheart of a movie. It is a lot about character and character development, and that I struggled with wrapping my head around like how I felt, because I like you know, sometimes you get in trouble with movies, like they go too far and like they get to a point where I just don't care about the characters, and like that's a huge fail, right? And I didn't get to that point with this movie, but it did keep me. The fact that there are 3 is why it works,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because there are various points where it's just like, man, this isn't really a good person. I don't really like care what happens to them, but like there are enough times when I both hate and care, like throughout the film, on and off, for each character individually, that as a collective it works.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it definitely does. Yeah, I have to say that this movie is just I've said it a couple times now, it's very genuine. It's very honest, and it's a lot of genuine and honest interaction. And I think that's what it's all about. It's interesting because they give it the context, making it a snapshot in time in a particular like super dynamic industry that now is a huge part of what the world has become since that point in time. But yeah, it's all about the characters themselves, and I think it's really well done. It's just that human interaction. None of us are perfect, you know. We can't expect anybody to be perfect, and there's a reason why the blues means anything, is because we enjoy, like we enjoy being able to identify and to share in each other's sufferings, you know. And I think that this movie touches on that a lot, even though it's like very specific, but it hits that chord where you can appreciate what all these guys are going through at any given moment. Like somebody can, and the pair of the 3 is huge. The number 3 here is huge because it really touches. Everybody can find something in these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this movie is just so rewatchable to me. This is like my 5th time watching it, and
No, that's one that you could just fucking turn on and listen
yeah,
to.
it's kind of like a comfort, like the comedy and just the great characters really make it rewatchable, because like
for sure.
it goes down so smooth, you know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, definitely.
it's just a great movie. Like everyone top of their class, like I feel like probably none of these actors ever did better than like in this movie. This movie is incredible.
I think that's a fair point.
That is, I think that's fair for sure.
I just love it. Recommend it to anyone.
So yeah, check it out. It's exercise and the human condition, which we all need daily. We all need daily.
All right. So now we have to turn to John Brown to tell us what will we be watching
So
for
I
this
had
next episode.
We had previous conversations about like trying to synergize these picks with later picks, and so something immediately came to mind, and since then has been immediately in my mind, but now I'm hesitant on that pick. But now I feel like I have to make the pick, so I guess it's gonna be whatever. If you guys are like mad about it, or if it's considered a bad movie, it's whatever. But with a conversation that the viewers aren't, in the know about, I made this pick of The Voices with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh man, I haven't seen this movie in forever.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have any.
I
like,
literally
negative,
know nothing about this movie.
I don't
I've never
have any,
even
like,
heard
negative
of it.
So
thoughts
this
about
movie is it's about a person struggling with mental illness. Through the movie, he has regular conversations with his cat and dog. It is kind of like a psychological coping mechanism, I think, for the struggles he goes through. But the cat is like a Scottish asshole, like just the biggest Scottish asshole ever, and the dog is like Barney Fife, just like the most well-meaning, like fucking Humpty, like dipshit, nice guy, town cop, type thing. And he's, as the movie goes on, he's dealing with these psychological issues and dealing with prescriptions and trying to balance all the shit with his work life, and his like reality kind of fractures, and what he thinks is working isn't working, and it turns into a whole thing.
So is this Reese, you've seen this movie?
Yeah, a long time ago.
It's a horror comedy.
It's a horror comedy. Okay, that's what I was getting to, was the genre. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with our previous conversation in mind, with the movie that you had thought you might want to pick, which is a very, very serious movie, this movie, while it being a comedy, ends on
No spoilers.
well, it's heavy.
Okay.
It's heavier than it looks. It's heavier than you think it is, because it's Ryan Reynolds. It's shit ton of comedy. It's a hilarious movie from what I remember.
A good bridge from this, a comedy,
Yeah.
to a very serious
I've seen
movie.
it 2 or 3 times, definitely 2 times, maybe 3 times. I've enjoyed it each time I've watched it. I think it's one of the more interesting performances from Ryan Reynolds, because he's billed as so often as just like the handsome, funny guy, that this movie is definitely a break from his typical shit. And I think it's fun. So that's going to be the movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it other than what you
Sweet.
just said.
All
So,
right, cool.
It is.
so I'm looking forward to it. I think
Good
horror
pick.
comedy is a good pick here.
Yeah. It's not currently on any streaming services, but once again, it is always available to buy on Vudu, Google, Apple, Amazon.
Yeah,
$8
definitely,
on Vudu right now. So.
Okay.
Check it out, and we'll be back next week with it.
All right, Reese, you want to tell everybody why they should go to the theater this week?
Is there a reason?
Yeah,
Is
this
there a reason
week.
for somebody else's town theater? Not our own?
This week you should definitely go to theater if you did not see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or if you saw it and want to see it again, because I probably will be seeing it again this weekend. Transformers.
There's another Transformers?
Yeah, Rise of the Beasts.
Okay.
They're
You know
finally
what?
doing Unicron in this one.
In the Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah.
Interesting. So
I don't know any of what you guys are talking about.
would actually be interested in watching this, because one of my favorite. I'm a big Transformers guy. I
Yeah.
love Transformers. 1986 Transformers movie. It's my shit. I
Yeah.
love that movie. I think it's fucking fantastic.
Never seen it.
You ever seen the 86 Transformers
No.
movie? Oh shit, dude! It's so fucking fun.
Orson
I don't know if you
Welles.
like.
Regretting his pick immediately.
You
Orson
have to like
Welles.
you have to like the shit to like it, but it's so good because it's like, oh god, it's so real. Like in that Transformers movie, I've heard tell that like so many kids cried because in the first 10 minutes Optimus Prime gets fucking murked. And it's not like bullshit nowadays with kid shows like, "I'll destroy you." Like, no, motherfuckers are getting murked. Motherfuckers are getting shot. If there's no like nonsense, like Decepticons busting up into shit, blah blah blah, motherfucker, like everybody's dead. And like Optimus Prime gets murdered immediately, and you go, "Oh, it's so good."
Well, spoilers.
But, yeah.
It's like a 40-year-old movie.
But anyhow, one of my favorite things in Transformers was it was on air when I was a kid. Was Beast Wars.
Yeah.
And so I really liked. I haven't seen it since I was goddamn 12 or 13 or whatever, but I really liked it. So I actually was piqued about that.
So you're in on that. All right.
I might see it too, because honestly, like
I won't see it. I'll be honest, and the reason I won't see it is because like
Michael Bay fucked it all up.
like I haven't.
I don't
like,
even know
there's
if
too
he
many.
directed
Like what is this? Like the
if
fifth
it's not
or
Michael
sixth
Bay
or seventh
It's
Transformers? I've only seen
Steven
like two.
Caple
Too far
Jr.
behind.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
I'm in.
so
it's
here's-
not Michael Bay.
Here's what I'll say to that. I think I've seen every other live action Transformers movie. I couldn't tell you like
Yeah.
Which one is which?
Which one is which?
It's like Harry
Besides-
Potter.
Except
to
for the
me.
first one.
except for the first one and
Yeah.
the Bumblebee one. But even that
Yeah.
one, I only remember like the first 20
Yeah.
minutes.
No, I think the
You-
only one that's defendable is the first one thus far.
Yeah.
After that, it got completely ridiculous. It was
I-
already really ridiculous.
I don't
hate
think-
the design.
I don't think there's any cohesive plot to any of
Yeah.
them. I think
No.
Optimus Prime dies in
With it,
like
Oh,
three,
spoilers,
in three of
spoilers.
them. I think he
Oh.
dies in three
he,
of them.
he
okay.
always dies. That's what he's there for. So
Yeah.
Enterprise. He's the guy, you know.
So is that it? Is there anything else coming out this weekend that we should get excited about?
As far as going wide, that's everything. I don't know if there's. I haven't heard that there's anything smaller that come into your bigger cities. Your Fort Wayne's is.
Wayne's is-
But I think it's a smaller week for smaller movies.
yeah.
One thing I will advise that if you don't feel like if none of those appeal to you, if you have Apple TV, really big on this show Silo.
Yeah,
that's
I
going-
really want to watch it.
That's
yeah.
going on right now.
We should probably plug like series stuff more.
Yeah.
Stuff out.
The first of all, the pilot episode, they're like halfway through season 1. So you're getting one episode every week, but you can start right now and watch the first 5 or 6 episodes. The pilot episode is one of the best pilots I've ever seen for any show. And it's just kind of kept that momentum. It's the first time in a long time where I've got that like week to week thing. And I'm actually really excited, to get the episode every week. And, I love running that roller coaster right now. So check out Silo if you haven't checked it out.
I'm excited to try it.
Yeah.
All right.
Dystopian stuff is always great.
Any recommendations this week
For film?
that we have or TV that we haven't already talked
TV?
about?
Not anything off the top of my head. If
You
you haven't
recommended
seen,
Voices.
If you haven't seen, yeah.
That's true. Watch
I
Voices.
did finally. I was very excited that HBO finally got the last season of Rick and Morty. I
Yes.
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay.
I
Wow.
really enjoyed the dinosaur episode.
It's very fun. It's very
it's
funny.
great. It's Rick and Morty. It's
Yeah,
fucking
it's so
smart. It's it's good. That's my only recommendation for the moment.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, that's going to put a cap on episode 5.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of keep you guessing, I guess. We will be back either in 1 week or 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
we're not going to let you know.
Pay
until
attention.
we let you know.
Pay attention, motherfuckers. Tune in.
All right. It'll definitely be on a Wednesday night, though.
Yep.
Look
So
alive,
until the next
sunshine.
Wednesday when we're live, we're out.
Bye.